Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 255, How to Be a Superhero Dad.
In today's episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, I'm very excited to talk about superheroes or dads because Adam's really been called every name in the book. He's been called crazy, determined, crazy, dude, dad, Chaim, crazy, obsessed, amazing, role model, athlete, and you guessed it, crazy. So you kind of get the picture. But people can't really understand how he gets in so many hours of training, how he works a full day, has a podcast, coaches clients, and sits down at the table for dinner with us every night. And yes, he's also asleep by 10 p.m. So to me and many others, he sounds like a superhero. And to our kids, that is exactly what he is. So in the spirit of Father's Day, I've set up this podcast and I'll be asking Adam some deep questions to get a better perspective on priority and values and really just being the best darn dad that he can be. And what my hopes are is that for all of you who ask me, how does he do it? You'll either have a better understanding of his mindset or maybe even get some inspiration and tips that will help you be the very best superhero in your own life too.
Am I not supposed to say something during this introduction? I mean, that's pretty flattering stuff that you just said. And I don't even know.
Normally you do talk during this introduction, but I wanted people to know that this was me creating this podcast based on the conversations listeners and friends and other people have had with me. And I know it's probably uncomfortable for you because you don't like to be in the spotlight like that, but I think people have a lot to learn.
All right, let's see where it goes. One of the best parts of living north is when it finally becomes warm enough to get outside for a run wearing just a t-shirt again. The crisp, cool air helps wick away the sweat while we run, bike, or work out in our Propelled by Plants performance t-shirts printed on the exact same Ironman finisher microfiber material. It's fast absorbing, quick drying, most importantly, UPF 30+. You can also find us showing off our guns in our Training for Life cotton tees. So now's the time to get your own shirt. And since Father's Day is quickly approaching, plan ahead and order one for a father in your life too. Each t-shirt comes with a handwritten note from us because we believe that much in gratitude. And we love you, our listeners. So get your shirts at planttrainers.com/shop or click the link in the show notes. And now for a moment of gratitude.
Today I'm grateful for my dad. In fact, I'm grateful for both of my parents who spent so many years giving me everything that they could, making sure that my sister and I were taken care of, had the things that we needed, inspired us, tried to nurture us in every way that they knew how, just doing the best that they could every day. And now that I'm a parent myself and I see how difficult that really is, I really do have a new understanding and appreciation for what they've done for me.
I'm grateful for what I'm about to read. I received a message from one of our Instagram followers who saw a post that I put out after and during, I should say, a Relay for Life event, a fundraiser for the Canadian Cancer Society. So here's what it says. As an Instagram follower, your ability to be vulnerable is inspiring. Watching you get emotional put all the meaning behind Relay for Life and how cancer really does affect all of us. I am tremendously proud of you for listening to your body and not letting your emotions defeat the fact that you still participated in Relay for Life for the full length of the program. You are your kid's superhero, and you are your own superhero wearing capes from your grandfathers, who I'm sure were superheroes to you. So wear your cape with pride and build a legacy that your grandfathers did for you, for generations to come. I have no doubt in my mind that your cape that will be passed down to your kids and your kids' kids will be one that embodies strength, motivation, and character. 3 things that will make your kids superheroes just like yourself. It's beautiful.
That's really kind and nice.
Beautiful and very fitting for this Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Here we go. It's showtime.
It's showtime.
Here we go.
All right. So this podcast is obviously inspired by Father's Day, but I wanted to say that it is not just for dads, and it's just not for people who have dads or men or anything like that. I think that there's a lot of nuggets that you're going to find throughout this podcast that you can apply to your life, no matter who you are, no matter what age you are, what sex you are, where you fit inside a family. I think that there's a lot to be said about determination and self-discipline in here as well, or I assume, because it's all just about coming. The other thing that I wanted to say is that I was looking on Facebook a few weeks ago, right after Mother's Day, and somebody had posted that mothers come in all different forms. And of course, so do dads. And mothers come in the form of people who have children, people who want desperately to have children and haven't had them yet, people who are looking forward to having children one day, people who have had children and lost them, whether they were born or lost them in the womb, people who just mother other people and, maybe are guardians or caretakers for family members, children. So when we say the word dad or when we say the word mom, it really does not come in a one size fits all. It really is something very different. We just happen to be a traditional mom and dad family in that sense, but there are so many other types of families out there.
I think today's show is really about finding your inner superhero. So no matter who you are a superhero and you have superpowers. You just have to know how to figure out what they are and how to bring them out. And it's just like when somebody says to me, they're not athletic or they're not an athlete. Well, the truth is we're all athletes. We just know how to find those deep skills and bring them out to be an athlete and to show people that we can exercise and move. And we're all athletes. We're all superheroes. And that's really what this is all about.
So I think that before a lot of people become parents, they're a whole different person and they don't realize what they're getting into when they become parents. And a lot of parents do give up all of their hobbies, all of their extra time because they don't feel like they have time for it. Do you think that you had fears about not being as active as you wanted to be and not playing hockey and all those things before you became a dad?
Probably, but I didn't really think about that. I think I was more concerned about, okay, life's about to change and now I have no more free time. Because whatever free time I had is now going to be directly sent to raising a family. So I don't know if I thought of it specifically in terms of sports and athletics, but I think it was more like, okay, now everything that I do has a different purpose behind it.
So what I'm hearing you say is you had priorities before and those priorities still stayed a priority. For example, playing hockey or lifting weights or exercising, because that's what you did for exercise before you got into the running and the triathlon and the swimming and all that. But basically that you were prioritizing and that wasn't something that you're willing to sacrifice. That was just something that you had to fit into the puzzle.
It's not that I wasn't willing to sacrifice. It is that it had to fit the mold. It had to find its place. And I didn't know how it was going to look or what it was going to turn into. But I knew that exercise, fitness, sports, they're important to me. And so I wanted them to be part of my life and I'll find a way to make it work.
Right. So next week is going to be 10 years that you became a dad. Our son's turning 10.
Oh my
It's
God.
crazy. Russell's turning 10 next week. So can you, and people, if you ask Adam what he had for breakfast this morning, he probably wouldn't be able to answer you. But when it comes to like situational events, he doesn't really, that's not what he holds on to. But can you remember what changed in you when you became a dad? 10 years ago?
10 years ago. I mean, I was now responsible for another body, another person. I mean, when I grew up, when I was very young, I felt like I was given a big responsibility when my parents split up and I had to take care of my younger brother. But this was a little bit different. This was like I was responsible for this kid and with your help, obviously. And that was huge. And it was like, I don't know how to explain that.
I remember you seemed to feel guilty for not being home all day. And I was on mat leave, so I had a full year mat leave, home with each child every day, all day, more or less, for a year each. And I think that you felt guilty that you weren't home all day, because when you'd come home, you'd be like, okay, I have to make up for the time that I didn't spend with him all day.
Right. I mean, I wanted to be with everybody as much as possible, and I still do. And I make that a priority. That's why I find ways to do what I want to do outside of the time that they're around. And so, yeah, I was going to work every day and you were home with him, and I wanted to be here. And so I don't know if, I guess I felt a little bit guilty, and I knew I couldn't make up the time, but when I was back, I wanted to be as present as possible and do whatever I could to help out to make sure that I was making an impact.
So in our lifestyle, this happens to work for us, but I think in other people's lifestyles, if they wanted it to work for them, they could too. But you're home for dinner just about every night.
Right.
Like I would say between the two of us, 99 out of 100 times or 49 out of 50 times, we're both sitting at the kitchen table with the kids eating dinner.
Right.
I know for some families that's just not possible. Some people have, shift jobs where they're not able to do that. Some people work until 9 o'clock at night every night, because their job requires that of them. Some people don't want to sacrifice coming home early to not make as much money so that they could be able to go on more trips and things like that. But for you, you're home at the table every night. I'm home at the table every night. And that might mean that we're coaching clients late at night. That might mean that we're waking up at 6 a.m. or earlier in your case to go and work out. But why is that so important for you?
I think the bond just develops. I mean, sitting down at the kitchen table during a meal, whether it's lunch, dinner, breakfast, as often as possible, just allows you to strengthen the bond and share the stories and create memories every single day. And I think that's so important and such a strong value to pass on to the kids, that our family is such an important little community on its own. And we take that very seriously. And we share so many different things at that table. We talk about our successes of the day. We learn about what they've been doing, what we've been doing, how people are feeling. It's the time where we get to sit down and actually talk face to face to each other. And we don't have the phones that are interrupting us, and we're not talking on the phone or through the computer. We're actually face to face. And that's one of the things that I find society is losing track of, or losing.
They're not valuing it as much.
They're losing it as a value quite a bit, because we're losing that person-to-person, physical, face-to-face contact. And I think that's really, really important in being able to develop a relationship. And that's what we're trying to do, develop strong relationships and bonds with our kids so that we are becoming a stronger family day by day.
And I think it also gives us an opportunity to make plans, to reflect, to create, to open up to each other. And when we share our ideas and thoughts and experiences with them, they're more likely to share it with us as well. And that way it's not a nagging, like, why'd you learn at school today? It's just a known thing that everybody says something at the dinner table that they did at school today, or learned at school today, or their success from today.
And it didn't happen overnight. Like, it wasn't like we sat down and it was this wonderful meal of conversation flow. Some days we hardly talk about anything. Like, some days it's quiet. Some days it's like people don't want to stop talking. It has its moments.
It really does depend on people's moods. I mean, if I'm not feeling well, or Adam's in a bad mood over something, or the kids just had a fight, it might be really quiet because nobody wants to hear each other's voice, and it's just going to aggravate us all. That I wouldn't say that's an every night kind of thing, but that happens from time to time. Or the kids were just fighting and they can't seem to say anything nice to each other. So don't think that it's all, bells and whistles around here, but I'd say that most of the time they understand the routine, and it's a time for us to forget about things that have made us upset earlier in the day too. We do take out our phone during dinner right at the beginning, by the way, just to take a picture,
right,
to put it on the Plant Trainers.
Yeah, because we want to share what we're eating,
right.
And the kids want to take pictures of their food sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes they ask to take pictures of their food. Sometimes they want to do like a little food video of tasting something or something like that. But generally, it's a no phone at the table kind of thing. So you're at the table with us every night. I'm at the table with us every night. What are we sacrificing to do that? Do you feel like it's sacrifice?
No. Should I?
No, I mean, I think that's where we differ a little bit. I think in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I had one night where I wasn't at the table and I was, making extra YouTube videos or doing extra Facebook Lives or coaching some clients or answering more people on the internet, then I'd be able to help more people. But I think that if I'm not helping myself and I'm not helping my family, and this is what I value, this is what I need to show up and do.
But that's the whole point. It's for us to be present and be in the moment and spend time with the people that are closest to us. And as soon as we start thinking outside of the table, in this case, then we're losing the whole point of this sit down to dinner with the family and build a stronger connection and relationship with each other. So it's important to understand why you're doing these things so that we could be able to focus on what we're really there to do. And that, in this case, when we're talking about sitting as a family at the table, our focus is about building a connection with our family members and getting to know each other on different levels and help each other out and converse and reflect and plan and enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, being physically present is a lot different than being mentally present. And I think that probably everybody right now could take a moment to think about where they could be a little bit more mentally present in their life. I know if you snuggle your kids before bed, but you're on your phone or you're worrying about a big project coming up and you're not actually there with them, then it's kind of a lost opportunity, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you've written a book, an ebook for dads.
Right.
Okay, so in that ebook for dads that we will link to in the show notes, it's, minimal price, but could be very inspiring for any dad in your life if that's something that you were, looking to send them with a little nice email. But you talk about, and here we're talking about being present, you talk about having bad days at work or being in a job that is going to give your family what they need, but not letting the job control you. So is it really that easy to not let your job control you?
No. Nothing's easy. Look, nothing worth doing is easy, right? But there's a reason you're doing it, and there's an end, means to an end. And while the job may be very difficult, challenging, hopefully it's a job that you enjoy, because if you enjoy it, it makes it a little bit easier, but it's not always the case. And you need to find the positives in the negatives. So anytime you're faced with a situation, or in this case, a job where you don't enjoy, there's got to be some little aspect that you do enjoy. And that's where you got to spend more focus and time on so that you could get through it and hopefully enjoy it a little bit more as you go.
Something that's worked for me in my life in terms of dealing with the PTSD is when I'm really, really under pressure and feeling like I don't like where I am right now. I try to think of things that I'm grateful for. Even if I'm not feeling it, I try to say it in my mind or even say it out loud. So, I'm grateful for this house that's giving us shelter. I'm grateful for my husband who's home for dinner every night. I'm grateful for my car that has 4 wheels and can get me where I'm going. I'm grateful for my bed that helps me sleep and recuperate at night. And I just try to think about things that I'm extremely grateful for. And if you could make it about that particular situation, so if it's about your job and maybe you don't like your job and your boss is beep, then you don't want to concentrate on that, but try to say, I'm grateful for my job that allows me to put food on the table for my family. I'm grateful for my job that allows me to help people or service people in this and that way, however it is that you're able to help people.
And we all have rough days. I mean, it's not just on the job. It could be anything, right? We all have rough days. We all got to find ways through those days. And sometimes the reason it becomes a rough day is because people are looking ahead and forgetting to focus on where they are at that moment. And sometimes if you just focus on the exact moment and you go moment by moment, it gets you through that day or that rough patch a lot quicker.
I think it's also about control sometimes. I think that we're controlling people by nature, humans in general. And if you're on a project with somebody or you work closely with somebody and they've made a decision to do something one way and you don't agree that that's the right way, then you almost want to control that situation. You want to physically change it to go the way that you wanted it to go. But sometimes we just need to say, all right, that's what they chose. I don't agree with it. I'm not going to waste my negative energy here. I'm just going to continue on. And I realize that that's easier said than done, but with practice, it could be easier done.
Right.
So also meditation helps, I think. So meditation is something that you started through your exercise. So you left hockey, you left weightlifting, and you went more into triathlon type sports, and you found it very meditative to go boom, 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 boom every time your foot touched the ground, right? So
Yeah,
how did
I
that
mean,
help?
the individualized sports, so the biking, the running, the swimming, allowed me to have time to myself and really focus on my breath. And while I was training, it's a type of meditation for myself. It was active. I was able to get inside my own head. Sometimes it wasn't a good idea to do that, but a lot of the times it was very helpful. And I found that when I was done my training, not only would I be tired, but I would be mentally cleared up. So it was very helpful in that way.
10 years ago, would you have ever thought that you'd be the type of person who valued meditation and who actually did it?
10 years ago, I wouldn't have thought a lot of things that I'm doing now. I mean, back then, I would never have thought about being vegan. I would never have thought we'd have a podcast. I would never have thought I'd be in this field.
Were there podcasts 10 years ago?
Maybe not, but close.
Maybe they're starting.
Yeah, it's close.
Sorry, I cut you off. But do you think that this meditation... how do you meditate now? We're taking a short break to let you know that this episode of the Plant Trainers podcast is brought to you by Four Sigmatic Foods. We love ourselves a good cup of matcha tea every now and then, but the problem is that the coffee shops offer a low-grade matcha that contains way too much sugar. That's why we're so impressed with Four Sigmatic's mushroom matcha with lion's mane.
While matcha contains caffeine, it also contains L-theanine, a relaxing amino acid, resulting in a feeling of balanced energy for your whole body. There aren't many drinks out there that can make you feel energetic and calm at the same time. We love the quality of this matcha product, but the truth is, we're super impressed with the quality of all Four Sigmatic's many coffees, elixirs, and blends, and the integrity of the brand. We spent the last few years moving our way through the list of their amazing products. There's always a product that catches our eye and is perfect to support us in whatever health or fitness endeavor we're going through at the time.
Go to foursigmatic.com/planttrainers, FOURSIGMATIC.com/planttrainers, PLANTTRAINERS, and search for the items that call to you, and be sure to put in the discount code PLANTTRAINERS for 15% off your order. And now back to the show.
So I still do when I train, and I've been running a lot lately, and that's been very helpful for me. And I've also been doing morning meditations, and it's over 5 months straight every day now that I've been doing at least 10 minutes of self-meditation, and it's just allowed me to start my day in a very refreshing way.
Does it allow you to connect deeper with the kids?
I think what it's done is it's allowed me to slow things down. So whereas before I may have been a lot more reactive to certain situations, it's kind of helped me take a step back before I react and breathe through a situation a little bit before I need to go into that situation. So it's also allowed me to be a lot more present than I think I've been. I don't know. Have you noticed anything?
I noticed that you've been more present, or that you're able to kind of take a deep breath and maybe, you know how we all need to step away sometimes? I feel like you might step away in your head, but you're still able to stay present and stay calm and be where you need to be at that time too.
I think it's been very helpful.
Yeah. And so we've gone through many different phases of meditation as a family also. So there was a time where we used to sit with the kids every night, and we used to ring a little gong and sit in the dark, and we would meditate. We've done breathing exercises with the kids. We've meditated out in the country in the Adirondacks, where we visit every summer, which is extremely peaceful and beautiful. I've done meditation in the kids' rooms at night actually too. And sometimes it's just a couple of deep breaths, and I've actually sat for longer before too, and just thinking about what I'm grateful for that specific child and whose room I'm in at that time, and connecting. And we've done other podcasts and blogs on meditation as well. But you've been doing some breathing with Jordan.
Yeah, every night I've been putting her to bed, she asks to do breathing with me. And we actually go through a bit of a breathing routine. And it's funny, it allows her to calm down. It allows her to get a little bit sleepy before bed. But I've also learned from talking to her that she's using those breathing techniques during the day when she finds herself in a situation where she gets frustrated or angry. She kind of starts breathing through it, which is pretty amazing.
So besides meditation and besides exercise, are there any other strategies that you're using to be a calmer person, a more connected person?
I think that the calmness has really come from the breathing, the meditation, the learning to step back. Is there anything else that I've been doing intentionally? Probably not. I mean, I've told myself that I need to be this way, and I'm kind of rewriting my story or myself or my mind, and I've kind of flicked a switch, but that's my black and white personality coming into effect where this is what I want to be, and this is what I need to do to get there. And so I've kind of done that.
So it sounds like you're almost setting an intention for this specific situation or for your life in general. When we think about what it is that we want and we understand how it is that we can achieve it and we could visualize ourselves in that space and we set that intention, it usually comes with a little bit more ease.
Yeah, you can call it intention. I think I called it earlier purpose, and I had a reason or a why. You could term it any way you want, but yeah, the intention is there, and that helped me make a decision of how I want myself to be, and that's what I'm doing.
So earlier when we were talking about being at the kitchen table and talking, communication is something that you value as a father. Would you recommend communication to other fathers?
No. Don't talk to anybody.
Stupid leading question.
What kind of question was that? So first of all, growing up, I never liked to talk to anybody. I was very quiet. I'm an introverted kind of person. You've probably heard me say this before, but I never told people that I love them. I never talked about love. I always kept things to myself. If I was asked a question, it was a one-word answer. It was, huh. Ask my mom now. She'll say, huh. My favorite answer to any question was, I don't know, or yes or no. But I never really spoke.
That's where Russell gets it from.
Yeah, that's where they get it from. But no, they don't get it from me because I don't talk to them that way anymore. And so I think finding ways to word your sentences and ask your questions in ways that avoid getting a response that's the one-word response is really the trick to good communication with the kids.
What about communication with your partner or your spouse, and how does that affect the kids?
I don't know. We started a podcast and now we talk to each other.
Right. It had been like 4 years since we spoke to each other.
That's not
kind
true.
Kind of, but not really.
It's not true.
There's truth behind every joke, but no.
Not true. It's really important, obviously, to communicate. You can't have a relationship without good communication. I mean, that's one of the foundations. And being open and not hiding things, not holding secrets, and just being able to speak your mind and know that you're in a comfortable place and the person's not going to judge you. I think that makes a huge difference and allows you to communicate at a deeper level.
And one thing that we do on a weekly basis that I think allows us to run the kind of family that we run and be present and know what's going on and be the good parents that we are is that we sit down once a week and we just talk about our schedule, right? Yep. And usually, hopefully, it's before the week has begun. So on a Saturday or a Sunday, even a Friday, if we have to, a Monday morning, but we need to know what's going on with each other's schedule, what's going on with the kids' schedule, who's responsible for what that week. And that way, everything else kind of comes into place. And there's no pointing fingers, you were supposed to do that, but you never told me. And I think that it's really easy to get caught up in those kind of things as parents because there's so much going on. So really taking that time to sit down and communicate, even if it does sound businesslike, but have that business meeting, that family business meeting once a week to know what's going on, because then you could spend the rest of the week having the better conversations.
Right.
So what are some good tips and ideas for having communication with your children? I mean, we don't have to repeat what we talked about at the kitchen table and talking about the day and all that. Is there anything else?
I like the time that we spend with them at night when we put them to bed. And not everybody has that opportunity to be able to put them to bed, but I really like getting the one-on-one time. And it doesn't have to be bedtime, but one-on-one time is very important. And just to be able to share those few moments, even if it's a minute that you're alone with your child, then you get so much out of it, whether it's playing cards or talking about your day or playing another kind of game or watching TV, just being together. It's very, very valuable, and that'll help build your relationship if you do spend those moments together, even if they're little minutes.
I'm going to ask you a question, and I think these kind of questions are kind of because if you're really in the situation, it's a lot different than just hypothetical. But let's say someone said you could earn an extra $100,000 a year, but you had to come home at 8:30 every night, and you wouldn't be home for dinner 4 days a week, and you wouldn't be able to put your kids to bed 4 days a week. Would that be worth it?
I don't think I would do it. There's a lot of people listening that probably would do that. But for me, I don't think I would do that. I think that the value for me is being with my family, and especially having gone through what we went through 8 years ago and being told that I may not be around to watch my kids grow up. You kind of learn to value each day a little bit more. And so for you to tell me that I will not be home to spend time with my kids or you and doing that for money, for me personally, I don't think that's something I would be willing to sacrifice.
And I think it's personal opinion, and everybody's going to have their own opinion, and whatever you decide is right for you. For the moms or dads or anybody who is in the situation where they can't sacrifice or won't sacrifice, their time away from their job or money to be able to spend time with their kids at night, at dinner, or putting them to bed, where else can they find time to spend valuable time with their children?
Maybe in the morning before they go to school, before they go to work, if they don't have to leave too early, maybe on the weekends. I mean, really, any time that you can spend with them, the important thing is to be present in those moments. And like when I was younger and I used to see my dad once a week, we went out for dinner on Wednesdays. And that was the time we had together for the whole week, just one night. And so that became valuable time that we spent together. And that's what you need to do, is find the moments, find the time during the week as much as you can, but make sure that you're present during those moments and really make them worthwhile.
And it doesn't always have to be about dinner, right? You can sit down together on the weekend, whatever your family looks like, all of you on the weekend, and have a breakfast together, even if it's an early breakfast before all the crazies begin, or lunch, like how we'll do a pancake lunch on the weekend, or a dinner on a Sunday night. But having at least that one day, that one meal a week where you're all sitting, looking at each other, no phones, no basketball practice, soccer practice, track practice, hockey, whatever, and just all being together, I think that can make a big, big difference in everybody's life. So what about dads talking to other dads? I know you're an introverted person, so for you, you don't need to be sharing every story with everybody all the time, but how important is it to talk to other dads, do you think?
I think it can be very helpful. I mean, there's a lot of dads that are unsure of what they're doing, and parenting is not easy. And there's no book that comes along with it. There's no manual. There's no instructions that come with a kid when they're born. And yes, you can look to outside resources, but at the end of the day, you're going to do what you want to do to make your family the best that you want it to be. And you're going to find ways to make sure that you're doing that. And sometimes reaching out to people that have been in those situations. So in this case, dads, you might want to reach out to some other ones and see how they're raising their kids, what they're doing differently. Maybe you're looking for some advice and you need someone to talk to. It's really interesting to see how different fathers, different mothers raise their kids and do things differently and come to different decisions. So if you're looking for people to speak to about it, it's a great opportunity to find other dads or moms and reach out.
What superpowers does your dad have, or how can you see your dad in a superhero light?
I think one of the superpowers that he has that I think I may have acquired would be his sense of organization and discipline. And there's so many powers that we all have, but I think those are two strengths that have really helped guide me in positive directions and made a big difference in how I've turned into the person that I am right now.
Are there any other lessons that you've learned from him along the way? I think your dad has a very big sense of family.
That's what I was going to say. I think that seeing how important his family is to him and how dedicated he is to raising us through all those years when he wasn't living with us and still wanting to be involved in our lives. And he was very involved. And even now, seeing how close he is with the rest of his family and how he encourages us to stay close, that's another superpower for sure that has rubbed off. And I really appreciate that, of which I've obviously inherited from him.
What other role models do you look to when deciding what kind of dad you want to be? Or do you even have any? Are there any out there?
I don't know.
I think there's probably more today than there were, 10 years ago, with so many more vlogs and YouTube and blogs and podcasts. But
like parenting role models. I mean,
yeah.
I'm looking for, I don't know, I'm looking to be the best person that I could be, and by being the best person I could be, I end up being the best dad I could be, right? The best family member. And I mean, any time I see somebody doing great things with their family, I think that's like, there's so many parents of the students that I teach that are raising such great kids. And I ask them how they do it. What do they do that's special? And it's hard. And their answers are always different. They don't know what they did special. They're doing, raising them as a close family, and that's a strong value. And I think that makes a big difference because we all want to raise great kids. But if we're not present, if we're not able to connect with them on a deep level, it makes it a little bit more challenging and difficult for us to develop into the role models that we want to be for our kids. And I think that's what we want. We want to be role models for our kids, and our kids look up to us, whether we like it or not. So whether we're good or bad, our kids look up to us. And hopefully we're doing more good than bad so that they could pull all the good out of us.
And I think on that point, our vocabulary really, really matters. The way that we talk about ourselves, the way that we talk about other people, words and adjectives that we choose to use in sentences really rub off on children of any age. And I think that it's just important to show up for yourself. And it's really hard, especially when you're with people all the time, especially when, you're frustrated at the end of the day or what have you. But the way that you show up in front of your children is teaching them a lesson. You don't need to be, holding a ruler and have your glasses down on the side of your nose and be a teacher to teach your children. They're picking things up all the time. So it's 100% about being the very best that you could be all the time. All right, so let's start to sum this up. Are there any actionable tips that you have for people to let them stand a little bit taller in their own superhero cape?
So what we need to remember is that we all have the superpowers within ourselves, and we all have the capabilities to become superheroes.
Capabilities.
Yeah, good one. Our kids look up to us, regardless of us doing positive or negative things. So we want to try to do as many positive things as possible so that they learn from those. So here's a few things that you can think about. We need to start making time for things that are important to us. So if your family is important to you, you got to find ways to spend time with them. If you have a job that takes you away from them, that's fine. I get that. And you could accept that. But what you need to do is leave your job at the office so that when you come home, you can be present and focused on your family. I think that's a really important point. The other one is that you need to take a break, and you need to take a break for yourself. And taking time out of your day to be able to focus on yourself allows you to become a better you. So whether that's exercise or meditation or some other type of activity that allows you to clear your mind and let yourself rejuvenate and recover so that, again, you become more present for those in your family around you. So taking that break is really important. The next thing is, we talked about a lot earlier, is the communication. We need to have strong communication. We got to develop those communication skills within our family. We also need to take advantage of every opportunity we have. So when we do have those moments to spend with our kids, with our spouse, with our partner, we really are present, we're there. And by creating those opportunities to be together, you're going to see that over time, more opportunities are going to start to present themselves. And when they do, that's when you really realize how special every single moment you have together with your family is, and you need to appreciate that and be grateful for those opportunities.
I think you summed that up very well. And if anybody needs to see that in writing, get a little bit more deeper meaning, or share it with somebody who needs to hear the message too, then we really do encourage you to either share this podcast with them or go to the show notes at planttrainers.com, and you could click on the link there, or you could just go straight to planttrainers.com and click on the shop, and you can get that dad's ebook that Adam wrote. Again, not very expensive, but a great way to help support the podcast and really share a beautiful message with another dad or role model or superhero in your life.
And that book is called 5 Life-Changing Tips for Dads: How to Make Time for All You Want to Do in Your Life, even if you have a full-time job and a family.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that 18 times. It's a long title.
It is a long title, but it's a good one.
It's a good one. Awesome. So to everybody out there celebrating, no matter how you're celebrating, no matter what role you play, happy Father's Day to you, and we shall see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any other podcast listening platforms. We appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it ensures other people will find us too. Thanks to our patrons. To become a patron, visit www.patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference. Connect and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Plant Trainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at www.planttrainers.com for awesome plant-based recipes and a list of our services. Email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so we can answer them on our upcoming Facebook Lives. We hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time, and have a healthy day.